Hi, in this video I will cover integrating SD-WAN sites within mainland China into the global SD-WAN domains. As of the recording of this video, Cisco Meraki has two dashboard instances, one for global customers, which is dashboard.meraki.com, and another one for mainland China, which is dashboard.meraki.cn. And Meraki built .cn service to comply with Chinese regulations. So customers who have a presence in and outside of China would require two Meraki dashboards, which means they will have two separate SD-WAN domains, one for mainland China and another one for global. There are three options to integrate those SD-WAN domains. Option number one would be leveraging the internet to connect the hubs within mainland China and outside. But given the internet in China is censored and the traffic has to hit some under-spec firewalls, this will cause a lot of packet drops and increase in latency. While this solution is the cheapest, but it's also unreliable. The second option would be using private connections between the hubs, and that of course will have the highest SLA, but it's also coming at a cost. The third option would be utilizing Alibaba Cloud Core to route the traffic in and outside of China. And the reason to choose Alibaba service, because they have a lot of POPs within mainland China as well as global. And in this video, I will go over a step-by-step guide how to configure the virtual MX within Alibaba Cloud to act as hubs for the SD-WAN domains and leveraging Alibaba Cloud Enterprise Network to route the traffic across the domains. The first step, we need to go to Alibaba console, and then from there I will go to virtual private cloud, and then I can create my VPC. So as you can see here, it's been automatically selected to Australia Sydney because this is the last POP I used. So I will name this one to be my AU VPC, and I will configure my subnet. And of course I need to create a virtual switch. So this is going to be my AU virtual switch. I'll put it in zone B, and I will have one subnet, which is /25. So now we do have that part done. What I can do, I can quickly go to create the Meraki virtual MX from the dashboard, because we need a token, and then we use this token into Alibaba Cloud to build up our virtual MX. So I will name this one AU Ali Hub, and I will create that network. All right, so this network is ready to go. Let's get the token and let's go to Alibaba Cloud, build up this virtual MX. So we need to go to the marketplace. Here we go. And I need to search for Meraki. We have the virtual MX. Choose your plan. And from here, you do have an option to get billed monthly by doing subscription or pay as you go. So for demo purposes, I'm going to use pay as you go, but it's up to you to explore the subscription options they have there. Put it in zone B, and then I'll hit next. So as you can see now, we getting the IP address from the virtual switch. We can definitely assign private IP if we want to have static. In this case, I'm just going to use DHCP, and I will have public IP assigned because I need access from the internet, so that can build tunnels. And then I need to put the token and keep everything else as default, then accept the terms and conditions and create the instance. So this is my AU virtual MX, and it should get an IP address from Australia. So you can see here 47. Let's go quickly and check if this IP sits in Sydney in Australia or not. All right, fair enough. This IP in Sydney, and it's from Alibaba Cloud. So that's great. So now we have this virtual MX done from the Australia side. Let's go and wait for that virtual MX to check into the Meraki Cloud. Right, so that virtual MX seems to be coming to live. Let's quickly check the IPs that have been allocated, the private and the public IPs. I'm expecting the public IP will match what we've seen in Alibaba Cloud. Right, so the public IP is matching exactly what we've seen before. All right, let's repeat the same process, but this time for China. So we're going to create a virtual MX in .cn dashboard, which is a completely separate entity. It's not the same as the one that we just done now on .com. All right, let's capture the token and build our VPC in Ali Cloud. So here I'm going back to my VPC, and in this case, or in this instance, I'm going to use one of the mainland China POPs. So I'm going to choose Shenzhen and I'll create my VPC there. So I'll just name this one to be CN VPC. Something I'm going to use here is .2. I need to create 2 virtual switches. And this is mainly for the next step or the next steps. So let's build 2 switches there, primary and secondary. I'll use my primary here D, my secondary E, and subnet needs to be different, so I'm going to use 128/25. Right, the VPC now is done. Let's go and create another virtual MX. And again, I'm going to use pay as you go, selecting Shenzhen. D is my primary zone. And we'll repeat the same process that we've done with AU. All right, let's keep ourselves honest here. Let's check this public IP if it's actually within mainland China, Shenzhen, or not. All right, that's actually correct. It's in Shenzhen, it's in mainland China. All right, so that's pretty cool. It will take a couple of minutes again for the virtual MX to be up. Also make sure the virtual MXs are in VPN concentrator mode. So while we're waiting for the CN virtual MX to come online, let's go to the Australia side and build the Site-to-Site VPN. So for my Alibaba AU hub, I'm going to configure this to be my hub, and my local subnet is 192.168.10/24. And basically I do have a branch, so let's just duplicate this because we're going to need another page later. So my branch here, which by the way, what is my computer is connected to, I'm going to configure it as a spoke. I'm going to have the hub that we just created in Alibaba Cloud to be my gateway, and I'm advertising my own subnet there. So basically, if I try now to go and check the IP address that we have in Alibaba for that virtual MX, from the machine that I'm using now, I should be able to ping it once the tunnels are formed. So the IP that we have here is .95. So if I go quickly and try to ping it, it will take a minute or two for the VPN registry to allow the MXs to talk to each other and build tunnels. So let's give it a minute or two, and we should see this ping going through. All right, so now the branch I'm connected to can talk to Alibaba Cloud. The tunnel is formed and ready to go. Let's try to do the same thing for our China side of the network. So you can see here now this Alibaba hub that we have in CN or China is actually active and getting the IP address that we just verified before. I'll do the same thing. I'll just configure here Site-to-Site VPN. Again, I do have another site there, which I will just duplicate the page so we can configure it. I'll configure this as a hub. My local subnet is this. And I can go to the branch that I have there, which is basically this one, which is in Shanghai. I will configure this as a spoke. My hub will be CN, and I will advertise my own subnet there, which is 172.16.172. All right, if we run the same test, of course, I'm not in China, so I cannot test from a machine connected there, but what I can do, I can use the tools, and I can try to ping the Alibaba Cloud. Let's get the IP address of that machine. And then I will just basically source the traffic from my LAN of the branch. Again, it'll take a couple of minutes till the tunnel's getting established. All right, it was quicker than what I was expecting. So you can see now the traffic is within 30 milliseconds because we have Shanghai talking to Shenzhen within mainland China. All right, so of course, you know, if I actually try to ping the IP address from my machine here, it will go nowhere because it doesn't know anything about that subnet. So what we can do, we can leverage Alibaba Cloud to basically transfer the packets over their own core. So we can get the two POPs, the one in Shenzhen and the one in Sydney, to peer together so the VPCs will be able to talk to each other using Alibaba Core. And that's how we can get basically the CEN service from Alibaba Cloud to allow this communication, and instead of using a private connection. Of course, private connection will do the same thing, but if you don't have a private connection, you can leverage Alibaba Cloud. So let's do this real quick. So as I mentioned, Alibaba has a service called CEN, Cloud Enterprise Network. So you need to create an instance there. So I'll just name this instance AUCN, so I know this is just a connection between the two VPCs. You need to create transit routers. So I will create one for Australia. I'll just call this one my transit router for Australia. And what I will do here is I will attach my VPC that I have in Australia. And I will repeat the same steps for CN. And then we will create a connection across the region from AU to CN. Right, so let's create a connection. In this case, as I mentioned, it'll be VPC. And I'll just call this one my AU attachment. And I'll select the network. When we keep those advanced settings checked by default, it will just create some routes for me. We'll go through the details later. It's really up to you if you want to keep them or not. We're going to go through the details of how to manipulate routing to achieve what we were trying to do. So for this case, I'm just leaving the default on so you would see what has been created for us. All right, I'll repeat the same process for CN. I'll create a transit router. This case will be my Shenzhen POP, and I'll just name it CN transit router. And I will do the exact same steps there. Right now we do have the transit routers and we attach the VPCs accordingly. Now we need to just create another connection which basically cross region. So we're saying here, I want to connect Australia to, to Shenzhen, And I'll just name this one AUCN attachment. And basically, I can either pay you by the bandwidth I'm using or by the data I'm transferring. So I'm just going to use the data option. And again, I'm going to leave the default settings as is. That will take another minute or two to be created. And once we're done with that, we will move to the routing. All right, so that's done. Now let's talk about routing. So I will start from basically the machine I'm connected to. So the machine I'm connected to at the branch is going through the AU virtual MX, and whatever I advertise from there as a local subnet, that will be installed in the routing table of my MX gateway. So if I want basically my branch or my computer to be able to talk to China, I need to make sure it's installed in my routing table. So if I look into my routing table at the moment, it's only advertising my own subnet, as well as not advertising my subnet, but basically having my subnet there and whatever I advertise from the hub. So at the moment, what we need to do is basically advertise another subnet. So here I'll just say this is my remote CN, and this is the subnet that I have at the branch in CN. Of course, I can also advertise the virtual MX IP address there, which is the 192.168.2. something, or I can summarize it. So I'll make it easy for myself, and I just go and say anything /16 of the 192.168 should be advertised through. So I did a mistake here by an extra dot, and now we should all good to go. All right, so this is from my Australia side of the fence. Let's go to China and do the same thing, because my branch in China, again, if I look into my routing table, has no idea how to get to my AU side of the network. So I need to go to my hub, again, Site-to-Site VPN, and I'll do the same thing. I will just summarize the route. So I'll just say here, 0/16, and I'll also summarize the AU subnet. So I'll just say 10.0.0.0/8. Of course, you can be more specific. It really depends on your routing table, but for this demo, I'm just basically summarizing everything. All right, so from Meraki side, we already identified that if I want to go to 10/8 from China, I will just go to the virtual MX, and then from the virtual MX, we'll go to Alibaba VPC. Same thing from Australia for the 172.16.172. It will go to the virtual MX in Sydney, and then it will go to the VPC that we created there. Now let's control the routing in Alibaba. So if I actually go here to the virtual private cloud, and I'll start from Australia. So here we go, Australia. This is the route table. Inside this route table, you will see the virtual switch that we created the subnet for, which is /25. And then in the custom routes, you will see there's the RFC standard pointing to the transit gateway or transit router that we created. So this is basically some of the default settings that we checked. And when we created a transit router, automatically installed those routes in my routing table. So that's what one of the things we need. So anything going 172.16 will have to go through the transit router. We also need to have a route back, basically, that is going to go to 10.1.1 and /24. The next hop will be my virtual MX in Sydney. So this is a route back to AU branch. Right, one step that we need to do here is to publish this route into my CEN. So this is really important step that we need to basically inject this route into the CEN routing table. So CEN has another routing table, by the way. So this is the local route table of my VPC. And then we will have another route table for the VPC in Shenzhen, and then there's additional route table, which is for the CEN. All right, so we've done that part. Now, if I quickly go to the CEN, just to kind of see what this route table look like. So this is the instance that we created, and you can see here there's a route table, and inside this route table, I do have the virtual switches, the VPCs that we attached, and now I have the 10.11/24. So when we direct the traffic to this transit route table, it will know how to get to those subnets and which transit router it will forward the traffic to. So let's quickly go and do the same thing for the VPC that we have this time in Shenzhen. So go to the route table, but this time will be for Shenzhen. Again, this is the 2 virtual switches, and those are the routes that have been installed for me. And now let's go and have route back to my branch in China. All right, we created a route, and now we need to publish it in the transit gateway route table. All right, so if I go back to this route table and hit refresh, you can see now I do have the 172.16, I have the 10.11, and now my ping has started. Just the moment we publish this, you can see now the ping is going through Alibaba Cloud. So this is just how quickly that you can leverage Alibaba Core to connect site or bunch of sites within mainland China to outside of China, leveraging .cn.com dashboards from Meraki.